So now that we've gone over our blend mask composite network, let's go ahead and jump into our student project file and talk about the point to form setup and our sim trim blend shapes, which are going to allow us to easily decide, what part of our animation we want to be the simulation, when we want to start based on time. So if there's something difficult that happens at the begin or the end or any time in our animation, we can easily blend in and out to non-sim or simulation. And then also let's talk about our final output. Okay, so right beside our blend mask creation container, let's go ahead and plop down another container. We can just size it up like this. There we go. Let's make it dark gray. Okay, and we can just name this blend mask composite. There we go. And let's just go ahead and pull over one of these object merges. And we're going to need 4 of these, so we can just duplicate them over. Let's name the first one in asset skin rest. Let's name the next one in area skin rest, because one is going to be the full asset, one's going to be the area. Let's name the next one in area skin sim. And then the next one is going to be in non-sim anim. So let's see, we can actually name it the same here. So in skin rest, in non-sim skin, let's see. Should we keep it area skin? Yeah, I guess that's fine. We just need to know that one of them is the full body and the other is, the portion of the arm. So these two are going to be the arm simulation. These two on the outside will be the full body non-sim. Okay, so this first one, this in asset skin rest, we're going to be taking the output of the network that we just did, which is going to be, essentially our outskin rig pose. But now this node down here has our mask arm and mask body attributes, which is going to help us do that blend shape in this composite container. So we're just going to select that object merge up there and drag the null right there. Perfect. Then the in area skin rest is going to be our out skin area, which will be basically, we can grab the same thing from up here. It looks like it's already plugged in there, which is great. Yep. So that one right there. The next one will be our out area skin sim, which is right here. So let's go ahead and drag that from the top right container. Okay, perfect. And then the next one is going to be our outskin non-sim anim, which is going to be way over here. Let's see, outskin non-sim anim right there. And you can see it's right over there. Perfect. Okay, so now we got all of our animation here. So you can see we've got our arm right here. We can toggle through the non-sim, the sim, the rest, and the rest. Perfect. Okay, so let's connect these. So let's go into a point to form network first. So I'm going to grab the node on the left and just do point to form. And we can adjust some properties here. This is going to vary depending on the size of your simulation. So again, this is just another reason to kind of scale everything down to a known Houdini scale. Anytime you simulate at wildly different scales, you have to adjust a lot of parameters. So again, these values are going to correlate to the scale that we're at right now. So we want to put in for the radius 0.001. The minimum amount of points can just be 5. Maximum points can be 100. So we get a little bit average. We want to undo this rigid protection right here. So uncheck that. And then we want to deform this full body mesh with this area of the simulated mesh here. So this is going to be our rest lattice in there. And then our deform lattice is going to be the actual moving mesh right there. So now that we plug that in, oh my God, this looks hideous, hilarious, everything at the same time. And that's just because the rest of the body is trying to do its best to keep up with this. Here, let me adjust my timeline. keep up with the simulation that's happening only on the arm. That's okay that the rest of the body is doing that, because we are only concerned about this part of the body here that is the arm topology. The reason why we're doing this point deform is because we want to put this animation information back only on the points that are right on top of the other points. And so we don't really care that the rest of the body is doing this, because we're going to switch out the rest of these points that are going crazy with these points that are part of the non-sim animation. Okay, so after the point deform, let's go ahead and make two blend shapes here. So we're just going to type blend shape. Perfect. And then let's just duplicate that. We're going to call this first blend shape on the left trim in, and this other blend shape on the right trim out. Okay, now this plugging in this part of the network is a little bit confusing. So we'll try and make it as simple as possible. So from the left node up here in the top left, the in asset skin rest, I'm going to just press Alt and then plug it right in there, just so we get a little bit of a separation between our lines. I'm going to do that for also the trim out. So I'm going to come out of that Alt node that we created and go into both of the base target for both of these blend shapes. Okay. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go from the non-sim anim here twice into both blend shapes. Yes, twice. I know that sounds a little bit weird. The reason why we're going twice is because we want to take, one is for the body animation minus the arm. The other one is for just the arm. And then we're going to do a third target, which is going to be our point deform, which is what we're looking at here, which will be the simulation arm. All right, so we've got the whole body, we've got the non-sim arm, we've got the sim arm. Those are our three targets. And when I say whole body, I mean whole body minus arm. So whole body minus arm, sim arm, and non-sim arm. Okay. So once we have, and then the sim arm is last. That's important to know. Okay. So then I'm going to go ahead and just take this curve down here and just kind of organize this line a little bit lower, so it just makes a little bit more sense right there. That bothers me that's okay. No, I thought it was a little angled there, but okay, that's cool. So we've got these things going like this. We won't put in the attributes for this right now. We can go ahead and I guess we can go ahead and set up just the names of things, but we'll put in the actual equations and the parameters once we do the review node, which will be in the next video. So we can just hit update channels from inputs on both of these guys, update channels from inputs. On this first one over here, the trim in, we want to essentially have this one always be at 1, this non-sim anim, and we want to come over to the, let's see, I want to go ahead and make this a little bit bigger. All right, there we go. And we want to come over here to the top, and where it says blend masking here, we want to do set from attribute. And then we get these guys unlocked over here. So let's go ahead and click this, and we're going to say custom mask from first input, because we can take it from any input that we want, the mask, but the mask is going to be an attribute on whatever input we're taking in. So you can see the first input here is that one. So we want to take that mask from that input. So we're going to say take the same mask for all the targets from the first input. So we'll just go ahead and change these guys here to from first input. And then our blend mask, we don't see it here, but we're going to change this to mask body. And that's just because I didn't set it up here, I realized. So we're going to say from first input right there. And so now, let's see. Yeah, let's just enter this in here. So mask body. There we go. Notice how that jumped back there. And then I'm going to do the next one as mask arm. And then the next one as mask arm as well. Oops, not mask body. There we go. Okay. And we can just leave all these as scale from input. Now notice, only our body where the only our body that doesn't have simulation on it is in the right position, and then the stuff that simulation is all at 0. So we're going to blend on these two attributes. And keep in mind, one is non-sim, one is simulation. We're going to blend them on, but in a normalized fashion, depending on what is basically depending on where we're trimming in and out our animation. So we can choose what part of our animation is simulated and what part of the animation is non-sim. So it's going to be super helpful. So for now, I'm just going to leave it on, let's just leave it on the simulated one. So it's just fully simulating all the time. There we go. So we can really see that difference here. So notice right here when we land, we see that tricep jiggle forward. And then if I were to turn on that and land, we don't really get that jiggle. We don't see that secondary motion there. So non-sim. And then if I were to switch that out, simulation. There we go. We really see that isolated movement. Okay, perfect. All right, so let's do that same thing for this this other blend shapes. And honestly, we can really just duplicate this trim in and then delete the trim out, because the trim out and trim in are set up almost the exact same way. So if we don't want to click everything again, we can just do that the same way. And then we'll just be connecting these attributes differently. After that, we want to set up a switch. And the reason why we want to switch is because one of these blend shapes is going to be the trim in and one of them is going to be the trim out. So we could put a complicated expression into here to handle, when it's going from 0 to 1 and then back to 1 to 0, but it's just easier to have one of them, do one switch 0 to 1, then have the actual switch node switch over to the other one, which is going to be doing the 1 to 0 later on in the animation. So kind of like that. So we can leave the switch for now. That's actually, we can go ahead and put that in, because that's something that doesn't require the node that we'll do in the next one. So for the switch attribute, we're going to be using a fit function. So I'm just going to go ahead and bring up Sublime. All right. And inside Sublime, this is the function that we're going to be using. So we're going to say fit the frame number, and it's going to take the anim frame start minus the blend trim in. And we'll go ahead and put in this this switch parameter in the next video when we have that review network where it has the attribute that we're going to use, because we need an attribute to decide how long when the trim actually happens and how long it crossfades for, to blend from non-sim to sim and then from sim to back to non-sim. Okay, so there's the switch. We're going to do a normal right afterwards just to help the shading in between right there. So you can see it looks a lot better there. Okay, and then afterwards we are going to just do our output. Thought we'd never get to this point. Our output for our whole network, pretty crazy. So output there, we can just name it out. All right. And then we want to do a cache node just so that we don't have to, or so that we can watch it at real time. That's what I'm trying to say. And we can just call that cache out. Perfect. And then we want to do a ROP Alembic node, ROP Alembic output. And we can call this out ABC. All right. And then let's see, we want to do, we want to set up a comparison network just so we can easily compare the difference between simulated and non-simulated. Wow, this knee is having a bad day. I just realized that. Thank goodness we're not simulating knees, because we would definitely have to do a bone rig for that. Okay, so let's go ahead and set up our comparison network. So we're going to go out of this little alt node right here. I'm going to do another normal here, normal, and then I'm just going to drop down 2 color nodes. Color. This color right here is going to be, let's just do something unexciting like tan. Okay. And then I'm gonna hold Alt, duplicate over, and then I'm gonna do something a little bit more noticeable, like blue, something like that. Make it a little bit, there we go. And then this blue node is going to come out of this normal on the left. And then this other node, these two color nodes are going to go into just a merge called merge compare. Or out compare, how about that? There we go, all right. Just make sure that's lined up there. Okay, cool. And then we can go and color the nodes in our network because we're not going to be messing with any of these anymore. So the color and the normal nodes can be black. The merge nodes, the merge out compare, the cache out, just the out ABC and the out compare can be this orange color for out nodes. The cache out can be pink, just to remind us that it is a cache node. We can go ahead and make all of these, the point to form, the two blend shapes, and the normal, we can make, and even the switch, we can make black. All right, perfect. So now we've got everything there. So let's take a look at our out compare node. Look at this. We're able to see overlapping what is our non-sim animated, which is the tan, and our simmed one, which is going to be the blue. So you can really see that jiggle right there happening in the tricep. Boom, boom. And we can get a good idea kind of what our simulation mesh is doing. You know, see we're trying to, it's getting a little bit of those fibers. It's trying with the topology, but you can see really how we're getting the difference in these meshes. So you can really compare efficiently. Then we have our ROP Alembic output here, which is for outputting an ABC. And then we've got our cache here. So let's go ahead and connect our ROP Alembic output there, which is going to be inside the file paths node. So if we go all the way over, I'm just going to pin it so I don't get off of it, pin it. And then if we go all the way over to our file paths node, I'm going to pop this open a little bit further. Okay, on our file paths node, long ago we created this blend ABC output. That's just what we're going to put there. So Alembic file right there, we're going to drop it right into there. And then our valid frame range, we're going to turn this into render frame range. And for our render frame range, instead of the start to end right there, we can go ahead and put in our simulation. So let's see. And actually it would really just be our animation. That's so not our simulation. But if we come back to the pre-roll network here, if we go down, you see we have an FBX start, FBX end. So that's really what we want in there, because we're getting when all of this started long ago, we got an FBX. And so we want to put our simulation on it. We want to put our contribution on it as tech artists, as simulation artists. And then we want to return it or pass it off downstream in the exact format it came to us, just with our contribution on it. So it's really going to be the FBX frame start that we want to render. So we'll put that into the start in, and then also the frame end right there. And let's see, I'm just gonna Control Shift click that, and I want to go and place those in there properly. There we go. Okay. Not really sure why I might just do copy parameter and relative path that, because it looks like, yeah, it looked like dragging it in there was just copying the value when it wasn't actually linking it. So let's go and do that, and bam, 0 and 64, which is exactly what we want. Okay, so in the next video, we're going to finish up our restore locomotion scale container. We're going to do our review node because, we kind of connected this stuff properly, but actually, this node right here needs to be really taking in from our scaled Houdini node so we can composite stuff back properly, because, we're lucky enough that everything is already the same scale, but if we were doing differently sized characters, this node would actually need to take this output right here. So we're going to fix that in the next video. We're also going to set up our review subnetwork so we can review what our animation looks like once we re-inject the locomotion, once we re-inject all the size and scaling changes that we did to simulate in Houdini space. So let's go ahead and jump into the next video and finish that up.